Hollywood is the land of make-believe. It tells you who the hero is before you even know the history of the people or the persons. It teaches you who to trust, it teaches you who to fear, and it teaches you who and what is admirable. The real trick in all of this is that we don't even realize we're being taught or even programmed, because it doesn't feel like propaganda, and it's designed that way. Whether it's Birth of a Nation, right up to whatever film, blockbuster film is in the movies today. Hollywood represents an infrastructure for ideology. And what ideology are you referring to? Well, I'm glad you asked. The ideology is always white supremacy.
That's enough. Get in.
In this segment, I'm going to highlight 6 key points to make my argument. So let's start with number 1, the illusion of innocence. Hollywood systematically cleanses the European, Western, colonial violence. Hollywood rarely shows colonization as genocide, or as land theft, or as mass murder, or as global destabilization. But the Western order, the Western global influence is clearly built on these pillars. Instead, the Western image gets reframed as exploration as opposed to colonization, or settlement as opposed to land theft, or civilization as opposed to global destabilization.
I will walk towards them as the sorcerer who mystifies them. As I have their full attention, you must move swiftly.
Sir, they will kill you.
Call to them.
This shift shows or highlights for us that Hollywood didn't erase the history, it just edited it. It edited history in this way. It's a reframing that happens. And this is the illusion of innocence. The second point, the hero machine. Hollywood manufactures the moral authority, or it manufactures whiteness as the moral authority. White characters are always depicted as saviors or reluctant heroes and or protectors of order. Even when they are flawed, Hollywood still portrays a redeemable quality or characteristic.
You know what you get for being a hero? Nothing. Get shot at. Get a little pat on the back, blah, blah, blah. Attaboy.
This is how it manufactures heroes and heroism. This is how it cleans the Western image, the real history. And in contrast, Blacks, Arabs, Asians, indigenous people are criminalized, exoticized, dehumanized, and or reduced to the margins. Sidekicks, side characters, tag-alongs, etc. This framing explicitly suggests to the world who are the saviors and who and why people are worthy of being saved or discarded.
Which is it?
Elena, you hurt? Well, she's gonna be if you're not here in 1 hour.
So in this way, Hollywood doesn't just cast characters, it casts how we see morality and humanity. The third point, the villain blueprint. Non-Europeans, non-white folks are always framed, with some exceptions obviously, as threats to order and need to be ordered or put in line or checked. Non-Europeans are always framed as the villain. They are the blueprint, the blueprint for the villain in Hollywood scripts, as a rule.
Please do not panic. Everything okay. Come, follow me, please. Come with me. Come, follow me, please. Come with me. La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah.
Arabs are terrorists. Black people are criminals. Asians are mysterious, highly calculated, machine-like. Indigenous people are primitive or subject to disappearance, or just sort of like written off in a way that they're just like, without telling the story of the indigenous, they're just always sort of written off. And this isn't random. This blueprint maps onto real political discourse and narrative, and they have really significant consequences within society. And the ways in which we see this is because these villains often become suspected and suspicious in real life based on the tropes that Hollywood sends out to the world. Number 4, internalizing the spell. Hollywood doesn't just shape perception. It doesn't just shape the world, like how it is designed to shape how we perceive the world. And it does that. I argue that it does that. But it doesn't just stop there. It also shapes how we see ourselves. It shapes how white people see themselves. For example, we see all the numerous examples of, Karens, like what people describe as Karens, in the US and in other parts of the world too. It's this figure of a white woman who is usually entering into the business and space of black people and other people with a very demonstrative and orderly demeanor and disposition, as if she is some sort of authority over the space that black people are occupying. And we've seen numerous videos. I mean, it happens almost on a daily basis. It's almost as if these people don't even realize that they have become targeted and that they have become like a meme, a global meme, the Karen. And it's almost like that this has no impact on them because they do it so much. They're so uncognizant of this. It's either so uncognizant or so entitled.
Bye.
You know what? In America,
Bye.
we speak English.
So?
We don't have to listen.
Who say that? Who say that? Who say
But
that?
in any instance, this is the self-perception that Hollywood helps to frame and its impact on white folks, right? But it also similarly, it impacts people of color, black people, right? And different other people and different other groups of people too, by aspiring towards whiteness or thinking that, mimicking whiteness is sort of the standard way of being.
Last time. Hello. No one is available to take this call right now. Please leave a message at the sound of the beep. See? Is that good for everybody?
Yeah, that was good.
You sound like a white woman.
Get out of here before I smack the naps out your hair.
And they police each other, through these realities, as I mentioned, the Karens, but also other folks who think that they are, who aren't white, like some of the non-Europeans feel as though that they can monitor and police the doings of other groups. So the 5th point, as we transition from screen to structure, the ways in which Hollywood informs what happens in society, the ways in which Hollywood influences societal norms. Because Hollywood is designed to mimic real life. It is designed to reflect real life. And as such, it feeds not just institutions, but communities. It helps to sort of establish the fabric of societies, including institutions, right? So this is how it goes from the screen to structure, from screen to institutions, from screen to cultures, from screen to various communities. And, we can look at a number of examples, like sub-examples, like education, policing, policy, media narratives, the ways in which policing happens in certain communities, right? Policing looks very different in black communities. Almost no one in majority black communities, or just black people in general, with few exceptions, don't see police and policing in the way in which our government or the state frames it, like the idea of to protect and serve. But in black communities, for the most part, police are viewed as an occupying force in many respects.
Afternoon, officer. License and registration, please.
Sure thing.
Both of you, please.
What happened to, for example, George Floyd or any number of murders at the hands of police almost never happened to white folks. And people will argue about this. They'll argue this point, but the statistics are there. Like, for example, Dylan Roof, the young kid who, murdered churchgoers in one of the, historically black churches in South Carolina. When the young white boy was caught, he was taken to Burger King by the police before he was taken to jail. That's crazy. So you have policing, you have education, the ways in which deficit narratives around black students, for example, they lead the country in suspension and expulsion. They are at the bottom of the country when it comes to academic achievement. Why? Because they're stupid, right? I mean, no one's treating this as the crisis that it is. It's sort of business as usual. Why? Same with policy, same with media narratives. We can make similar arguments. And by these same logics, we are able to determine like who is dangerous, who is credible, who deserves protection, and who deserves to, just sort of be ignored, quite frankly.
You never get behind people traveling with infants. Never seen a stroller collapse in less than 20 minutes. Old people are worse. Their bodies are littered with hidden metal, and they never seem to appreciate how little time they have left on Earth. There you go. 5 words, randomly selected for additional screening.
Right? Hollywood plays a very important role in framing how we treat people, how we see people, and how we humanize and how we dehumanize people. What happens on the TV screen, it doesn't just stay on the TV screen. It shows up in the courtrooms, it shows up in classrooms, and it shows up in the headlines. Number 6, revealing the wizard. The wizard only has power as long as you don't look behind the curtain. You remember the movie Wizard of Oz? The thing about the Wizard of Oz is there was the illusion as opposed to the reality. The illusion of what the Wizard of Oz looked like, and then there was the reality.
Oh, pay no attention to that man behind the curtain.
So the wizard only has power as long as you don't look behind the curtain. But the moment you look behind the curtain, you realize that the wizard had no power, never had any power. This is Hollywood. When you peel back the layers, that is Hollywood. When you realize what Hollywood is doing, or when you realize what it has done, the damage that it has done, it loses its power to disinform. But you have to start off with a society that's informed, or with a society that has become made aware of the ways in which storytelling has been used to frame people. There's a reason why, people lost their mind, for example, when, the idea of Idris Elba playing 007, right? People were upset about that. There were reasons why people were upset when a black actor was going to be, the lead in Star Wars. There was a reason why people were upset about the mermaid movie and the black girl being the mermaid. There's a reason for this. It's not simply people are just, being hateful and being anti-black. No, it's not that simple. It's this illusion that has become reality for some people. In a reality that has never been checked. People have never bothered to look behind the curtain like the Wizard of Oz. Because the moment they look behind the curtain, what I'm saying will make more sense.
I think she's round. Round Ariel. Round Ariel is cute.
She's black!
She's black! Yes! It's like me! Am I right? She's like me.
I remember growing up watching TV, watching movies or cartoons like Superman. It never dawned on me, a lot of what I'm saying right now. But it does matter, right? When you have TV shows like Living Single, for example. It's a Different World. The Cosby Show. Rock. In Living Color. Martin. The Jeffersons. Good Times. On and on and on. These shows matter. They matter. And if you look from, my youth growing up, there were a plethora of really good TV shows and even movies that painted Black life in a way that resembled our reality.
Hi, everybody.
I could have sworn I locked that door.
You did. I took the liberty of making my own key.
And over time, we lost those shows. All of those shows were canceled or replaced by a sort of whitewashed version of it, whether it was Friends or Cheers, or we had all these things, sort of shoved down our throats as if, like those shows didn't really resonate with us. They don't resonate with Black communities like Living Single does, like Martin does. And the movies, like people like Spike Lee was an institution, like almost all by himself, the movies that he made. But over time, those Black shows sort of disappeared. Like you can count on one hand the Black shows that resemble the ones that, sort of depict a reality of Black people that's not subservient, or a reality of Black Americans that's not on the margins. It almost seems as though Hollywood divested from these kinds of images.
He's on the move. What do you mean I'm on the move? I work here. Sorry.
I'll end with this. The next time you watch a film, ask yourself, who is humanized? Who is feared? But more importantly, who wrote the script? And who did they write it for? And how are you, whoever you are, how are you framed in that script? That's it for now, y'all. Peace.
Word up, quick to set it, don't wet it. Real niggas lick shots, peace, Connecticut.
What up, yo? Time is running out, it's for real though. Let's connect, politics, ditto.